Working with modern forms. In this module, we'll look at some enhancements to forms that are now available in SBM 11.1. After completing this module, you should be able to create a responsive form, add a header, footer, or sidebar to a form, display only the required fields on a form. Let's start by opening the Issue Defect Management Process app in SBM Composer. This is the first time we've opened this process app since we installed SBM 11.1, so we will need to upgrade it. Now, let's create a responsive form to use for submitting issues. Just click the New button from the property editor of the Submit transition. Here's the new option for a responsive layout. Responsive forms automatically adjust the layout to match the screen size. In standard forms, you can set the column width to a fixed number of blocks or to a percentage of the total. But with responsive forms, the total width will always be 12 blocks. This form represents a typical layout with 2 field columns with 2 4-2-4 width blocks. You can change these widths as long as the total is always 12. Now, let's preview how our form will look at different screen sizes. First, with a full screen size, the form appears as it does when we created it in Composer. As we resize the screen, each row wraps into the next row. In the smallest size, each label and field appears in its own row, left aligned for readability. Now let's move on to the next feature, headers, footers, and sidebars. You can use a header, footer, or a sidebar to ensure that important elements remain visible on the screen at all times. Let's add a header and a left sidebar to our responsive form. You can drag and drop form palette elements onto these placeholders just as you can in the main form area. Let's add a title to the header. You can also change the background color of the headers, footers, or sidebars. Now, let's add an image control to the sidebar. We can use this control to display a logo on the form. Next, we need to deploy this process app so we can check out our changes from the Work Center interface. Now, let's log on to Serena Work Center using an account from the sample database. Let's submit a new item to the IDM project. Here is the header and sidebar we just created. As you can see, the header and sidebar remain static while you scroll the rest of the form. While we're in Work Center, let's look at an enhancement that makes modern forms more convenient. If you just want to get to a particular required field quickly, just click on the name of the field. Or you can limit the form to show only the required fields. This is handy when the required fields are scattered across different areas of the form. Or you can keep all fields visible and just click the Next button to advance to the next required field. Finally, let's sign out of the Work Center. Now that you have completed this module on modern forms, you should be able to create a responsive form, add a header, footer, or sidebar to a form, display only the required fields on a form. For more information, visit help.serena.com.